You should never hold on to the past. You should only stand upon the wisdom of the past. Saying action is not to be determined beforehand. If you use slogans to structure your life, you will determine your action beforehand. Pleasantness of body, mind, emotion and energy is 100% your business. What is happening around us are two realities.
Hi, Jasper Basson here. I just wanted to remind you about the Daily Entrepreneur Tips series. It's a business growth series for entrepreneurs and contains financial information and also information to grow you as a person and your business, because we will never grow our business any higher than we grow ourselves. So click on the link below and I will send you daily information to grow you as a person and your business, and it's for 365 days of the year.
You should never hold on to the past. You should only stand upon the wisdom of the past. You should not hold on to it because activities of yesterday, what was wisdom yesterday could be foolish today.
Sure.
Let me correct that question first, Vusi. The thing is, you said is the world ready for truth? World will never be ready for truth because the word world is not true. Because only the individual experience is true. Only you exist. The world is just a word. That is because you don't have… See, do you call your children the world? No, you call them by name because you have the time and attention for those individual lives. So you call them by name, they are people, all right? They're individual people. When we use the world, we don't have the necessary span of attention nor intention to pay attention to that, so they are just one world, all right? So, world is a psychological manifestation in our minds. Actually, there are only people. People are people because of individual experiences. Are individual experiences truth? No. Individual experiences is psychological realities in which they live, social realities in which they live. So that is not the truth. An individual is capable of experiencing truth, but individual as a person is not truth. The world is not capable of experiencing truth, but it is the truth. Why did I say something so funny?
That answer did not end the way I expected it. So let me then ask this question quite simply. What is the truth? If I am myself trying to confront the truth about myself, what is the truth then?
See, when I said something is absolute, that means you cannot define it, obviously. If you give a definition, it becomes a small piece of something, right? You can define something which has physical boundaries. You cannot define something which has no physicality to it, no boundaries to it. So truth is not something that you try to define and philosophize. Truth is something that you experience. How do you experience truth? The important thing is, if an individual human being, instead of busy making conclusions about everything in the world, if they just sit here looking at what is it that is making you make the conclusions, what is it that causes joy in you, what is it that causes misery in you, what is it that you like, what is it that you dislike. If you look at these things carefully, you will understand in how many ways you have set up prisms of confusion in your mind. You set up a prism, suppose I hold a prism in my hand and look at you, you will look very funny, You will look somehow distorted. So I hold a prism and I think, Vusi is a funny-looking guy. Well, this is my problem, not yours, isn't it? So like this, we have set up multiple prisms in the vision of our mind, where everything is confusing. And now we are thinking, how to find the truth, how to find the truth. No, you need to clean up your faculties. How you see, how you hear, how you smell, how you taste, how you perceive needs to be cleaned up. Truth is not something that you try to see. You just clear your vision, then you will see. The European idea of I think so I am. A simple question, is it because you are you can think, or because you can think you are? Which is true? You know the answer.
No.
What do you mean? Because…
No,
no, only because you can exist, you can think, right? Not because you think you can exist. So I'm saying if you are so lost in your own psychological realities that you fancifully start believing that your psychological reality is real, your psychological reality is just your drama, there's nothing concerned with reality there, okay? It is your psychological drama, and you start thinking, right now human suffering is all invested in this, that people think their psychological creations are bigger than the Creator's creation. That is the problem, essentially, that's all they're suffering. That's the only thing human beings are suffering. Their psychological creations are larger and more significant than the cosmos. That's all their problem is. One knock on their head, their psychological reality will evaporate, all right? I'm saying this is not truth, this is just your drama. You've gotten so engrossed and invested in your own drama, you just forgotten that there is a reality called existence. Now about what you said about the African people, you are, so I am. Well, this is a very social reality, this is a way of acknowledging another human being, how we as human beings are not designed in such a way that our individuality is absolute. We have to interact, we have to be together. This is a more peacemaking in the society. This is a more, I would say, social wisdom. Nothing to do with truth per se, it's a social wisdom. You recognize, acknowledge that everybody around you is important, without them you really are nothing. And it is also a way of engaging and involving yourself with other lives, because this is not only to human beings. You may say this to a lion or a giraffe or a tree, saying, because you are, I am. It's a wonderful way of recognizing the contribution of every other life to our lives, but that's a social reality. So having said that about African man trying to create his own image of himself. But see, Africa is a word, it is a geographical piece called a continent today. But in reality, as historical reality, if you look at it, Africa must have been 10,000 tribes or more, I don't know the number, but I'm just saying. Because I discovered in America, there still are 500 nations within United States of America, Native American nations. So in Africa, it must be at least 10,000, I'm just imagining. I do not know the exact number, it could be anywhere, 5,000, 10,000 tribes. So they all lived in their own realities, their own practices, probably their own languages, their own rituals, their own identity, essentially. So today, this… because certain forces from outside came, and whatever the boundaries of tribal identities were just wiped out, it did not happen with war between two tribes. Somebody else came and wiped out, and it all got mixed up. Maybe even Zulu doesn't look like a Zulu anymore, or in the Masai Mara, the tall people, a lot of them are short and fat these days. All this happening. No, that is because I'm saying genetic mixture has happened, which was not happening earlier, social mixture has happened, and all kinds of mixtures and porosity has come. What was guarded as a very sacred identity has gotten mixed up over a period of time. In the last 200 years, so much has happened. Some of it is absolutely painful and disastrous. But this is the way, unfortunately, we have shaped the world, okay? Let's come to that reality. This is the way it's happened. We cannot change yesterday, all right? It is just that today, what we do will determine our future. That we must understand. Yesterday we cannot change. It might have been beautiful, it might have been ugly, it doesn't matter, but we cannot change that. We can only experience today and see and strive how to create a tomorrow. In this effort, if you are a Zulu, it's wonderful. As a culture, you keep that as sacred, you keep that going because it's important, otherwise all of us will become one kind of people. We will die of boredom, okay? It's so wonderful that cultures evolve like this. If you come to India, there are over 1,300 languages, even today people speaking these kind of languages. So, all this cultural color, this kaleidoscope of humanity is wonderful. At the same time, we have moved towards a world today where there is technology, there is a kind of interconnectivity that you could have never imagined possible even 50 years ago, which you cannot deny, which you cannot grow without using and becoming a part of it. So this need not become a struggle. If you are… I was invited to speak with the Zulu king and to address the Zulu population, but unfortunately, things turned out the way they did with this pandemic. So, see, it's wonderful to keep that memory because a human being's life is rich only because of a vivid sense of memory. If we did not have that memory, our lives would not be rich. So I'm saying keep the culture, I don't think you can keep… Let's say if are you a Zulu?
I'm Swati.
Okay.
Very closely related to Zulu.
Okay. So let us say whatever the proud moments of your culture is in your memory, it remains an inspiration. But don't try to practice all of it today because those things were practiced at a certain time, in a certain atmosphere where it was relevant. They were doing what was relevant. If you do the same things now, you will be doing something that's irrelevant. So all those practices of life, we must make it into practices of ceremony. Ceremonially, you must keep them alive. You should not try to keep them alive in your life, in your daily practice. I'm not saying every bit of it, many parts of it. Many large parts of it may not be relevant today. Such things, we must make them into ceremonial practices. Let's say what they were doing every day, once a year we come together and do that just to remind us, ourselves, what roots we come from. This is important to keep the pride and integrity of people to move forward. Otherwise, if somebody looks back and sees there is nothing behind them, there is a vacancy in our memory, then very few people… That is actually a great liberation if there is absolutely past is wiped out. But that is not the way most human beings are made. They will suffer, they will not know how to use it as a springboard. So if you convert what was day-to-day practices of your tribe into a ceremonial practice in your life, it will be like a springboard for you to walk strong into tomorrow.
Got you. So if I'm hearing you, then what you're saying is that even the idea of identity itself is not fixed, that identity is a contemporary construct.
No, it is not… Always identities have been there. But what was a tribal identity, today you're trying to make it into a national identity, or now Africa means a continental identity, or we are pushing towards a global identity. Global identity does not mean all of us should paint ourselves white or black. We are different colors, we are different this thing, it's fine. It's essentially that we make these things the color of our life, not the core of our life. This is the important thing. The core of our life is we are human. The core of our life is we are life on this planet, which is the most important thing. The color of our life may be black, white, I am brown, okay?
Technically, we're both brown, but okay.
So one day when you score against a certain team, against a certain type of players, against a certain kind of goalkeeper, and maybe kicking it powerfully, the ball went in. If there's another set of very energetic defenders and goalkeeper, powerful kick may not go, a gentle lob may go into the goal. This is something you decide on the ball. You don't say, powerful kick will go in. Oh no, you may hit a wall all the time. So, I'm saying action is not to be determined beforehand. If you use slogans to structure your life, you will determine your action beforehand, which means it's a prejudiced action. Action should never be prejudiced. You are open to the given situation, according to the situation you act. Because people have such prejudiced set of actions in their head, they're unnecessarily suffering during this pandemic, all right? We were doing things one way. We want to do it the same way, this is my life, this is my life. Your life is not in your actions, you must understand. Your life is in the way you experience it. Action is according to the situation. Action is not even about you, it is about the world we live in. Today how the world is, that's how you must act. Tomorrow if the world is a different place, you act differently. But how you are is determined by how you experience life, not by how you act. What is it that a human being wants? Let me ask you simple questions. Answer just directly just as you are, okay? Your body, do you want it pleasant or unpleasant?
Pleasant.
Pleasant. Your mind, do you want it pleasant or unpleasant?
Pleasant.
Your emotion, do you want it pleasant or unpleasant?
Pleasant.
Pleasant. Your life itself, do you want it pleasant or unpleasant?
Pleasant.
Your surroundings, do you want it pleasant or unpleasant?
Pleasant.
Pleasant. So you made your choices. You ask any human being in the world, when he is sane, he or she is sane, will all of them choose the same thing?
Yeah.
This is all we want. We want pleasantness of body, mind, emotion, energy and world around us, situations. If you become pleasant in your body, we call this health. If you become very pleasant in your body, we call this pleasure. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it joy. If your emotion becomes pleasant, we call this love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your very life energies become pleasant, we call this bliss. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call it success. Don't get things mixed up. To make your surroundings pleasant, right now you're at home, to make your surroundings pleasant, you need the cooperation of your wife, your children, people who work for you, otherwise life can become unpleasant. So, creating pleasantness in the surroundings is a question of competence, is a question of being able to garner the cooperation of all the life and forces around us. There are various things, skills involved. But to bring pleasantness to your body, to your mind, to your emotions and energy is 100% your business. There is nobody else involved in this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So you call it fulfillment, you call it happiness, you call it joy, you call it bliss, you call it… essentially this is all nothing. Essentially, you want a pleasant experience in the body, pleasant in the mind, pleasant in the emotion, pleasant in the energy. This you can do 100%. This is what inner engineering is about. Now if you're feeling very pleasant, right now you're feeling wonderful, you stepped out of this webinar, went there, let's say children are doing something that you don't like, let us say they're hanging from the ceiling, risking their life or doing something, kids can do many things, all right? But now you will deal with it differently. You are feeling unpleasant, they're doing something, you will go and create more unpleasantness out there. All right, this is what I see, children are squealing and running all over, throwing things around. Parents will come and say, shut up! This is even more unpleasant than what the children are doing. So I'm saying about creating pleasantness in the world around us, it is a continuous job, we have to do it. continuously. There will always be people who will be throwing unpleasant things around you, but you need to constantly work because you want pleasantness around you, not for any other reason. You want to live in a pleasant world, so you keep doing that. But pleasantness of body, mind, emotion and energy is 100% your business. If you do the necessary inner engineering which you gave up halfway, that can be achieved. Purely physiological and psychological and energetic reality within us. So how my thoughts happen, how my emotions happen, we are misunderstanding that as to how the world is happening. See, right now, I can look at you and, create pleasant emotions within myself. What do I have to do? I just have to think, oh, what a wonderful man. Or I can look at you and say, oh, look at him, what a rogue, and create unpleasant emotions within myself. So you do not my pleasant emotions, my unpleasant emotions have nothing to do with you. Maybe you're not a wonderful man, maybe you're not a rogue, maybe you're none of the things that I'm thinking, all right? But this is my psychological reality. When I misunderstand my psychological reality as your condition, then I will be always making these blunders throughout my life. So this is the fundamental thing we need to set, that inner engineering means this, that you align yourself. See, do not talk about things which are not in experience. You said spirit, soul, whatever, there were a few more words. Anyway, let's leave that. The only things you know is you have a body, this for real, right? This for real. Which is going to the gym every day, I would suggest something else more better than that. But this, you have a body, you have thought, you have emotion. To make these things function, you have energy. These are the only four realities which are in your experience. Rest is all your imagination, including the world. Including the world. Because right now, you think you see me. No. You see me not here or there somewhere. You see me only in the firmament of your mind, isn't it? So how will you see me? You will see me depending upon the shape of the screen that you have, accordingly you will see.
Sure.
If your screen is flat and smooth, you will see one way. If your screen has distortions, you will see it another way, whatever it is. So you do not experience anything here in this world except yourself, except the way things happen within yourself. This is why inner engineering is fundamental and vital, because you fix that. You fix how things happen within you. Once you fix that, it's not that you sit here, this is not a charm school where you sit here and look at everything and say, it's fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. No, not everything in the world is fantastic. There are a lot of ugly things, there are a lot of terrible things, there are a lot of horrendous things happening every moment in this world, all right? So seeing everything as it is. What is horrendous, what is fantastic, what is beautiful, what is ugly, seeing it as it is. But you are in a state where neither the beautiful nor the ugly changes the way you are. You experience the beauty, you experience the ugliness, but it doesn't change who you are. Who you are is well established, not on the basis of your identity, but on the basis of your perception.
Right.